There we go. Okay. So yeah, I think one of the things that I hear a lot from people is, oh, I wish I had somebody to talk to. I'm just not sure. So like, for instance, Amy had a question. What I, s- I was away and I think I was fielding and I was sick and I was fielding a bunch of emails. But I think what I said to you was call the office, right? Is that, yeah. Okay. So definitely don't hesitate, to call the office if you're not getting a quick response, if you need a response. Virtually, there's only one person in our office that doesn't know how to use the equipment. So very often it's a quick Zoom, let's get on and let me see what you're doing. Is that what they did, Amy? How did that go? How did you get solved?
Um, well, I ended up figuring it out. So
Okay.
was it Kirsten or Kristen responded to my email and said I could call her. And I said, well, let me go home and try to figure it out. And then I'll call you tomorrow if I can't do it. And then I figured it out. So
Good.
that was really
Okay.
nice of her.
Perfect example of what I was just talking about. Okay. Yeah. And always just reboot your system and start over. Reboot your system, check the impedance.
Okay.
That's step one and two, A and B, before you even think you have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Bill, how you doing?
Doing okay, thank you.
Good. We're just checking in where everybody is, what you've been up to in the past couple of weeks.
Well, I've been doing a lot with this program. That's one thing I have been doing. Listen to hours. I'm on Dr. Morales' explanation of neuroscience and neuroanatomy. He's fascinating. He is superb. He really is. The guy really knows his stuff.
He does.
You know, I, I've forgotten so much of that stuff about the neuroanatomy of the brain. And, just to let the group know, I do addictionology, which is, I think neurofeedback is going to be a tremendous asset to that if I can get it going. So um, I think probably will hire people to actually do it and then supervise it. But I wanted to know what the modality was capable of to see if we could help people. And some of that astonishing stuff that you guys showed about the improvement with the young lady that her parents had so much trouble with. I think that was the one you and Mitch did. Was very impressive. So
Oh, here's Mitch. Speaking of, um, yeah, so I feel like you guys have put a lot of work into things. And then when we get to this meeting, I'm like, oh my God, it got here so fast. And there's still a lot to do, so we want to look at what do you do? And at this point, it's good that you're thinking about how do you blend this into your practice? Where's it going to go? Or, whatever capacity you're working in, how are you going to incorporate this? I think before I started the recording, one of the things I said is it really, I'm going to say it's imperative. It's not, lots of times we'll say this is our method, but it is imperative that you do your own training for the sake of having the experience. It's kind of like if you go to a personal trainer and they're 100 pounds overweight, you're kind of like, really? Like, how's this going to work out for me? Right. And it's just so important that you understand, like, what happens if I don't have a good result? What happens if I have no result? What happens if I have a great result and then I decide to make a change? I make that change too hastily. I'm rushing on. That's going to go a long way in your learning. And if you're in anywhere, in another, if you're at a conference or something and you're talking about neurofeedback, and then somebody says, well, when you trained yourself, blah, blah, blah. And you say, well, I don't train myself. People are going to be like, oh, really? Like, what's up with that? Okay. Because they know you're going to be missing a big piece of the whole learning experience. So definitely before you start with clients, I want to impress that upon you. But we also want you working with clients. So, uh, so what do you feel at this point you need to, kind of go forward? You still should be feeling a level of discomfort, like I'm not sure what to do. What's my next step? Uh, how do I take that step? So yeah, let's just, open the conversation. You all can unmute yourselves. It's nice that we're a small enough group that we just can chat.
And I'll just jump in here. I think that I am aware that the topics that were to be for today were current trends and ethics. So, if as you looked at, those sections, if there was anything you wanted to ask about, certainly ask about those, but as Ann said, anything else is fair game also.
Oh, Mitch and Angelica, one thing I would love to ask about is, are you aware of any treatment centers or whatever that are actually using to a great degree biofeedback as a modality to help their clients?
So
You
let's,
mean in DNA facilities?
They'll actually say you have a person addicted to alcohol or narcotic medication, that sort of thing, or maybe even stimulants. Do you know of any treatment centers that are actually incorporating that as a part of their treatment modalities?
you're talking about inpatient treatment?
Not necessarily.
Clarify what you mean about treatment centers.
Treatment center would be either outpatient or inpatient. I have two outpatient treatment centers, one using opiate replacement therapy, two types. And I just hate to think that that's the only modality we've got. It seems to me that this is a disease of overstimulation. Somebody's trying to calm themselves down. So I see neurofeedback. If we can get somebody to calm down on their own without having to use medications like this, either replacement therapy or some other medication, it would be vastly superior to change the brain rather than try to sedate it or provide additional medications to make people not want to use these drugs that are so destructive.
Yeah. Where are you looking for something? I guess I'm trying to understand what you're looking for, what's behind your question. Are you looking for someplace to connect with? Are you looking for someplace that's close to you? Are you looking for like research? What are you trying to figure out?
All of the above. I mean, I would love to be able to talk to a treatment center, if you folks know of anyone who has begun to use the modality and how successful they have been in doing so. Okay. Also, what's your personal experience? Do people come to you folks for treatment of an addiction issue?
Yeah, so I mean, there's probably hundreds of people that are using neurofeedback to help, or be part of the treatment for like addictions or the use of drugs for depression or anxiety or whatever. So and both outpatient and inpatient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bill, there are a lot of inpatient drug and alcohol rehabs that make neurofeedback part of what they offer. I mean, that's a field that, because of the work of Peniston, neurofeedback has been taken up by the drug and alcohol world, probably relatively more openly than other facilities. So there are a lot of those around. So you would like to speak with people.
Where are you?
I'm in upstate South Carolina, close to Greenville.
Okay.
Yeah, we can look and see what's close to you to see if there's anything that, might be readily available that way, that you might even, be able to visit.
Exactly, yeah.
Failing that, I imagine there are places we'd be able to refer you to be able to call them,
Yeah.
for example.
I mean, like the Meadows is a drug and alcohol facility. Their main location is in Arizona, but they have lots of other locations, both inpatient and outpatient, and they use neurofeedback very regularly as part of their protocol. I mean, we've certainly worked with people with addictions over the years, many of them. Both young people and older people, people like that have been engaged in an addiction for many years, as well as younger people. The Meadows predominantly uses a different form of neurofeedback. So like this course has been about high frequency neurofeedback. They use something called infralow neurofeedback. Okay. There's also probably Ed would know something in North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have somebody who is pretty connected in the neurofeedback field, and he's in Asheville. So
That's an hour from me.
oh, well, that's easy. Okay. Yeah. So we can reach out to him and see if he has any, contacts for you.
Wonderful.
I know there's a facility in Florida. Trying to think of, and then there's Bill Scott does predominantly addictions work, and he's got a specific neurofeedback system, and it is used in a lot of DNA facilities. Maybe Mitch can talk with you more about that system. It's one that can be viewed controversially a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
it's brain paint, and what it is it's a system that Bill developed based upon the training you're receiving, but he has a program that is automatized, in that you do an online assessment, which is actually a variation of the arousal assessment, and it then cranks out what protocols it recommends, and a lot of them are C3 and C4 and so forth, and so it's automatized. And so in a way that's why it's controversial, but it delivers in about 85% of the cases the types of protocols that we're talking about. And the last that I knew, he was in over 70 DNA facilities. and, having very, very good success.
Yeah. So there are a variety of different types of neurofeedback. Okay, so again, the field started around high frequency, which is what this course has been. Then the field kind of moved, not the field, but some people in the field moved to lower frequency, and then what they called infralow. Okay. And that then moved a little bit lower than that. And they call it infralow high def. And then there's also programs like Bill's, that's a little bit of an AI program. Bill does stay available for all of his users. His system is rental only, can't buy it. Okay. And part of the rental is he is available to you as a consultant. That's the graphics, the client screen in Bill's program is very different than the client screens in the programs that we've been addressing here. It's fractal pictures, okay, which they're very, I find them very pretty to look at. But again, there's people that will say things about that. And then you'll also find things like, you'll start hearing, if you haven't already, like NeuroCore is a type of program where they do their own training and they have their own system, not to be confused with NeuroCare, which is a program that's, well, it's a system that's, I don't know if it's developed but I associate it with Martine Arns. And Martine is considered to be a very good researcher by researchers. In fact, I heard he's like getting the Lifetime Achievement Award or something this year from ISNR. So there, and then you'll hear about like MindLift, okay, and that uses the Muse. I just had somebody that we did an evaluation on reached me, and she's like, "Oh, my therapist recommended I get MindLift. I'm going to buy it. I just wanted to let you know." And I was like, "No, don't. It's not what you need." Okay, it's very different from what your evaluation showed. Well-intended therapist heard about it. You can buy it off the shelf. There you go. So there are lots of different options. What I really want to encourage you, no matter which option you go, okay, and there are choices, and it'll be nice. Different ones in this group are going to pick a different path, but understand how to look at the EEG, understand what you're looking at, so that when you see the waveforms and a client says to you, "What is that?" You're not saying, "I don't know. The program does everything." Okay. Think about when you're going to a physician, what do you want them to know? Right? You don't want them to give you a drug and be like, you say, "Well, how does this work?" And they're like, "I don't know. The rep tells me it works good." Okay. No, you want to understand what's going on. So no matter which path you take, pursue the path you're on so that you can understand what you're doing. Okay. A little bit of a soapbox, but I think that'll go a long way for you in terms of like garnering respect among your peers as you move along. All right. So does that answer your question, Bill?
Somewhat, yes. If I can get in touch with somebody that does that in the application of addiction treatment, it would be greatly helpful to know just how successful they've been, what their success rate is, and what their improvement is, if they can actually get people off of the support drugs, and what's their retention rate, that sort of thing. I think it would be important to talk to the people that actually do it.
Yeah, I find, you will talk with people, and there's a couple of people right in the Philadelphia area, which is where we are. And I've heard them talk and say, oh, no matter what they're treating, okay, but my success rate is phenomenal. I get 90% improvement. And I'm always skeptical of that. I feel like I'll tell you, we don't get 90% improvement. Okay. Now, why is that? In part, we work with hard people, but many of you will. We're not going to be working with just the people that like have I got a little bit of anxiety. I think I'll do, 40 sessions of neurofeedback. That's not what's happening. Okay. Or I have a little bit of difficulty with executive functioning. Let me do a lot of neurofeedback. No, they're going to go to somebody who can coach them how to organize their lives. Okay. So we get the people that are more difficult to begin with. It's very rare that we get somebody in our office that hasn't been to many offices before. They've had the medication failures come to us. So is it fair to think we're going to have 90% success rate with somebody that's had no success anywhere else? Boy, that's pretty ambitious. I'm happy with, 75, man, I'm really happy with that. And with that, you really need to get the client to participate. What are they doing as far as nutritional involvement? I have a 14-year-old girl that I met with yesterday and had her bring me in her diet sheet after 20 sessions of neurofeedback, and I see she's not eating breakfast at all, ever. And 14 years old, she's really good at arguing and debating. But I'm like, look, it's just a fact. You're not fueling your brain, and then you're expecting us to help you. So here's a fact. We're not going to do as good a job as we might do if you help us. Okay. Electronics. We can't get away from them, but man, we're learning more and more what a nightmare they are for the brain. Holding your phone up to your head, don't do it anymore. Just stop. People that don't have blue light. Well, we've bought for our grandkids blue light glasses, and I am on my daughters about it. Are the kids wearing the glasses? I have a lot of research. I keep hearing the research. So what contributes to the success rate? Be very, do your interpretations. If somebody tells you they're getting 95% success rate, I'm very skeptical. Okay. I want to know how the heck they're doing that, because I really don't think they are. People drop out. Well, maybe I'm getting 95% success rate with the people that are staying, but that's not a really good figure for the people who dropped out.
Bill, I think as I think about what you're looking for, I think that the person that it would be best for you to talk with is Bill Scott. I mean, he did the research in the Cry Help study, in which they found with neurofeedback, their recidivism rate was something like only 25 to 30%, whereas without it, you know how it is. I mean, recidivism is ordinarily 75 or 80%. So they actually found the opposite. And then he and David Kaiser did research on a revision of the Peniston protocol, where Peniston did temperature, biofeedback, and then alpha theta training. Bill and David did beta SMR training and then the alpha theta training. Anyway, those are two research papers, but Bill is more into the DNA field than anybody else that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
And even though he will talk with you about brain paint again is Bill was trained the exact same way you're being trained 30 years ago. But he then has taken it to this automatized, but he's aware of the DNA field. So what I'll do is I'll get your email address and I will introduce you to Bill,
That would be wonderful.
and then you can talk.
Excellent. Save lives. You really can.
Yes.
The people that leave our clinic, a lot of them just die.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
This new drug out on the street, fentanyl, my God, what a suppressor. I mean, it will stop breathing, even in pill form. We're dealing with that daily.
Yeah, I think the neurofeedback, you will find the neurofeedback is a tremendous asset to what you're doing. It's just a matter of how you bring it in and organize it. And
It's almost an issue of the correct thing to do. Are we giving them everything we can?
yeah,
Because these people, if they leave our practice, they're probably going to die. I've seen it so many times. And you just beg them to hang in there. They're very difficult folks to work with, but if you can get them to stay for up to a year, a lot of times you're going to save a life.
and you can do a lot of neurofeedback in that time, as opposed to like a 6-week stay,
Oh yeah, no, not going to work.
nothing.
This
Yeah.
is long-term stuff. This is, as far as I'm concerned, addiction is a fatal illness.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
I'm recovering myself, so I kind of know something about this. And I've been sober for 27 years. So it can't,
Congratulations.
Wonderful. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
it's just so important. So
Yeah, so I think in a way we've touched upon current trends here. I mean, as Anage outlined, the field began in what you're learning, the higher frequency training. And again, most of the research and most of the current training is in the higher frequencies, but there's Z-score training, and there's Loretta Z-score training, and there's and it's an infra-low frequency. There's these other branches, but I think we think learning what you're learning, because this is what the field is based upon. And then once you have a good feeling for what you're doing with this, if you want to begin to incorporate another type, or if you want to branch out, then you'll have a better idea. And again, based upon your clientele, one of these other offshoots might be a good way to go. I mean, Ange had said, we typically see a 75% rate of improvement, and we were looking then, well, okay, what about the other 25%? Can we find anything else that might be appealing to them? So that's when we went looking, and we wound up with ILF, because ILF is significantly different from higher frequency that we thought, okay, there's a chance that this 25% that we aren't succeeding with would have success. And so you may do a similar thing and look for what other type of neurofeedback you would want to offer, but learn what you're learning here first. Reach a point where you're doing it well, you're confident, and you see the effects upon your clients.
A thing that I find really helpful, and we almost do it with all of our clients, is to include heart rate variability biofeedback when we're working with them. There's actually heart rate variability as a certification is an add-on certification, either to the neurofeedback course certification or biofeedback. I'll tell you, is it a necessary certification? If you're really interested in the anatomy and the science and everything behind it, there's a lot of good information in the course. But as far as a practitioner using it, I don't think the certification provides anything clinically that you can't get from practicing with a mentor, taking a few sessions in it, and again, practicing it on yourself. Knowing how to use it yourself goes a long, long way, and then incorporating it, clinically in what you do. But it's a tool that clients can use at home. Yesterday, I had a music teacher come in for the first time for her intake, elementary school music teacher, and she was talking about, she just wants to understand more about her brain and wants to understand why she just can't be more organized and things like that. And, oh, by the way, she has a blood clotting genetic disorder that she found out about 3 years ago when she almost died because she had these like sudden blood clots. And then COVID happened, and then her anxiety increased. And part of what I talked about with her is, given this clear physiological problem you have, I really would like to do a capnometry assessment where we look at your carbon dioxide, oxygen exchange, where we really determine for you what's your best breathing rhythm. She had gotten herself in COVID, she got hooked up with Headspace, that app, right? It was free during COVID. And now she's hooked. She loves it. She uses it. And, by the time we got done, she was just a lovely lady. By the time we got done, I'm like, I'm just so excited you're here. What I'm envisioning is you're going to learn heart rate variability training, and you're going to take this to so many students in your music class. Like, you're already teaching diaphragmatic breathing in music, bringing in the heart rate variability. You are going to be like, the Pied Piper with this. And so heart rate variability can go a long way to helping people and also facilitating the neurofeedback. It can be a good just intro at the beginning of the session. Let's do a few minutes of breathing and get you nicely settled. So that's something too. Somebody asked me the other day, I consult with a program and they brought somebody new into the staff, and the new staff person says, well, how long does it take to learn neurofeedback? We want to understand this for the program. And I was like, well, geez, I've been at it 30 years and I hope in 10 years I get it really good. Okay, so we're learning so much about the brain all the time. So there's, two sides of the spectrum. You guys have a good bunch of information. I want you to leave with a nice sense of confidence, but not a sense of overconfidence. Because you've got a really good foundation and you guys have been participating nicely and, moving along. So, don't be scared, but do be cautious. Yeah. Be smart, right? So So what are you thinking based on what we're talking about? What are you thinking? Let's share just what are you thinking your next steps are going to be? And do you have concerns that maybe we can kind of resolve together?
A question I've been thinking about is if and when to start charging for the neurofeedback as an extra like supplemental tool. Is that I do have a small kind of mental performance clientele that I work with in the sports psychology area. And that is who I would be practicing, like training my neurofeedback hours on before I am officially certified. So do I wait until I'm certified to begin charging them for that? Do I start it when I feel confident and like I'm truly offering them the best I can give? Or how do you guys look at that?
Yeah, I don't think you need to be truly certified to charge. My personal, I've never heard anybody say that, so that's my personal opinion, but I've never heard anybody say, how dare you charge, you're not certified.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And at the extreme, we got involved before there was a certification. So, but I think it's kind of like, follow the model that you used for therapy.
Okay.
At one point you were a student and you didn't
Mhm.
charge, and then you finished your schooling and you were being supervised.
Yeah.
Maybe you charged, maybe you didn't, and there'll be kind of a line that you cross over where you're like, I guess I'm ready to charge, and you'll finish the session and you'll be like, ooh, I hope that was okay that I charged them.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, but
Awesome.
yeah, you had mentioned confidence, and I think that's really where it's at. I think, when you reach a point where you feel confident enough that you can justify to yourself that, yes, this is a thing that now I am able to provide a service, and I'm confident in how I am providing it, then you charge.
One of the things I always have in the back of my head when I'm doing anything is, can I sit in court and defend this? Okay, if the cross-examiner, never happened, right? But if the cross-examiner is saying, what kind of credentials do you have that you can do this? Okay. So at this point, you're like, well, I took the certification course. I've been mentored. My mentor has, overseen my work and given me the go-ahead.
Yeah, we're actually getting into a little bit ethics here, and I think, you want to practice within the scope of your license, that's for sure. But then you also want to be able to show that you have had training. So if you're going to work with peak performance, you want to be able to show that along with what we're doing here, you have also had some courses or some conferences or some webinars in peak performance. If you're gonna work
Which she has.
working in the DNA field, along with what you're learning here, you want to be able to show that you've had some coursework in neurofeedback that's aimed at the drug and alcohol community. I mean, because what you're learning here is just a very general, basic approach. Leaving this, you're going to want to begin to get more specific for your clientele.
Peak performers tend to their brains tend to idle fast. Okay, and you don't want to take that away from them, but you do want to be able to teach them how to quiet their brain down. So for them, it's, if they have a fast alpha, that's not so much a problem. It's having a fast alpha all the time is the problem. So there are some, special types of things that you're going to do with them.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
looking into it right now, trying to figure out context dependent when we want them aroused and when we want them not aroused.
Right.
So there might be some, I'm looking into like mixing physical training with neurofeedback. Where I don't know, you have to run a sprint and then we hook you up and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And recovery. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I used to work a lot
Yeah.
with tennis players. And with tennis players, I mean, that between the points time was crucial.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do your breathing between the points. Don't do it during the points. You got other
Mhm.
stuff going on. Okay. So yeah, knowing the sport
Awesome.
as you do. Yeah. I wanted to talk also about like just how do you get future learning, right? So you're welcome to join these talks anytime. They'll be ongoing, right? We'll have them on our website. There's also, I have to get the location, but we're planning like an on-hands practicum weekend, hoping to do it in Philadelphia area. But we're scheduled that for December 3rd and 4th. So that would actually be come Friday night, Saturday we work, Sunday we work, and then Sunday afternoon you leave, late Sunday afternoon. That's a possibility. We'll be sending out an announcement about that in the next couple of days. The Northeast Biofeedback Society has its conference this Friday and Saturday. If you work with kids in particular, that's going to be a really good conference. But there's also going to be stuff about like polyvagal applications and EMFs, electromagnetic fields, and how they impact the brain waves, and that affects everybody. So it's got a little bit of everything. The larger organizations like ISNR, I want to interrupt myself. NRBS has a lot of free webinars right on the website. Okay. ISNR has an annual conference. AAPB has an annual conference. And BCIA has a good bunch of webinars. And those are really well priced. So you can get a lot of learning, for not a lot of money through there. NeuroNoodle is a podcast, and he's bringing on really good people. Happy brain, healthy
Healthy
body.
body.
Happy
I
brain,
think
healthy
it's-
body. Let me do.
It's either happy brain, healthy body, or healthy brain, happy body. I mean, one of those. I always forget.
Got to figure that out. You healthy brain, happy body. Healthy and happy. If you're healthy, you're happy. That's how you do it. Okay. And look on YouTube, like Google, do YouTube Jay Gunkelman. You want to look into ERPs and EEG. Jay Gunkelman's your guy. Yuri Kropotov has different. They're free. They're just out there. There's what's Tiff and Nick's
School of Neurotherapy.
School of Neurotherapy is doing a lot of free webinars these days. And so the more people you listen to, the more people you meet, the more it's going to help you find your way. You're going to listen to some people and you're going to be like, don't want to go down that road at all. No interest. Leave it then. There's plenty of other stuff to learn. Yeah. So what are your next steps? Let's really like, kind of like what they say now in meetings. What's the action items, right? I love that phrases now. You hear that all the time. So what's our action items? Let's just take it from the top. We'll kind of we'll make a declaration of what we're going to do. Where you going, Amy? What's happening? You're in my upper left-hand corner, so you're first.
I think I'm just gonna keep practicing on my husband, and then I'll do some on myself because I have not done that. And then I have a friend that I'm gonna practice on her, and I have a friend's son with ADHD that she would like me to practice on him.
Perfect.
Great. How's your husband coming along? How many sessions have you done with him?
Oh, I can't. It's just a scheduling problem. So I can't see anything because I'm just not doing it. He'll have like 15 minutes one day a week. So it has not been consistent.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna have to tie him to a chair.
The other thing is, for now, for at least some of you, a lot of the practice isn't so much the actual training. It's doing enough of it to reach a point where you're able to get good impedances with anybody. And then a part of it also is, to kind of just look at the thresholding and what, I mean, so some of the people that you'll be training now, it's more about you practicing than it is about them getting the actual training, frankly. I mean, you got to practice.
Yeah.
So.
So moving over to the right. So Bill, what are you're gonna call Bill Scott or reach Bill Scott, that we know.
Same name as mine. That's
That'll be easy.
But anyway, I have my friend Bethany Gagne, who's gone to the Monroe Institute recently and helped them out do EEG interpretations. She's quite skilled, done it for 25 years. I want to get her to my office and try it out on a few of my addiction patients and see just what sort of effect we can have.
All right.
Sounds good.
She's already got the equipment.
Yeah, nice.
Good.
And she can see just what these folks who are dealing with addiction have on their brainwaves. What's the problem? Where do we see we can make improvements?
One of the things that you can see in long-term alcohol addiction is a low voltage brainwave.
And
Dr. said this. He said, these false neurotransmitters, and boy, that really hit me because the alcohol molecule or the opiate, whichever one you pick, is a false neurotransmitter. It's perfect. And I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Replacing what the body's normal neurotransmitter is in something that jacks you up or whatever. It's alcohol is pretty destructive.
Oh yeah.
And Bill, you may have heard of this. Gabor Mate, who is in the DNA field, has said that not everybody with a trauma develops an addiction, but just about everybody with an addiction has past trauma, as a generalization. So you will see in your folks many of the markers of residual trauma. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so I think you were right, earlier when you said, you alluded to helping them be able to relax or to calm their brains, because most of these folks are just hyper vigilant, hyper alert, overly activated, so on and so forth. So
that's it. Why do people drink and use drugs? they are not comfortable in their own skin.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you all moved around. Now Kirsten's where Bill was, so. What's your next step? I think you kind of said
My,
it, but let's really spell it out.
yeah, I need to make a decision, for what, system I'm going to go ahead and use, continuing on here. At the same time, I'm learning how to do an ICA, like a component analysis on EEG data so that I can, actually analyze it myself.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and then practice, just hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you just like looking at numbers for the system and stuff, or do you need to talk with one of us or?
I might talk to you guys a little bit more, especially about B Lab. I'm just comparing things right now and trying to get a feel for like the capabilities of all of them, but everybody has pros and cons to what they're using. So
Yes,
it is what it is.
yep, for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and Maya, you're gonna get your equipment soon. I'm excited about that. It's been a long haul. You stuck with it, yeah.
Yes.
And, definitely when we go through the next group, if you want to join in, just reach out to Kristen, not Kirsten, but Kristen in our office,
Yeah.
right? Make sure that she gets you on that schedule for any of the practicums if you want,
Yes.
or you
yes,
reach out to
absolutely.
us. But that's my plan for you. What's your plan for you?
To follow your plan.
Okay, good.
That's my plan.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, good. Well, I hope we keep hearing from you guys. If you want any help with like figuring out mentoring, either with us or with somebody else, want to get you to the right people. Okay, or just any questions, we're here.
Yeah, and Bill, I've got the NRBS conference here, so look to get the email for Bill Scott next week sometime. If you don't get anything by the end of, next week, reach me and say, hey, what are you doing? But I'll get it to you.
Thanks, Mitch.
Okay. Any last questions? I feel sad. I'm like, oh no, we're gonna see you again. Make sure you reach out, okay? Good. You guys were great.
All right, guys.
Okay, take care.
you.
Keep in
Thank
touch.
you.
Okay.